Hey there, this is Chidanand from Crutch Infotech NG. Welcome to this tutorial on GitLab. In this tutorial, I will give you an overview about the feature switches or the feature toggles or feature flags, whatever name that you may want to call it, and how I can put up a simple Git repository. Maybe I will use a very simple Node.js based application, but then the whole idea is to show you how GitLab provides out of the box support for feature switches. So before going any further, let's try to understand what exactly is a feature flag or a feature switch or a feature toggle. This is a commonly used engineering paradigm where a lot of deployments are done with some sort of embedded features which can be turned on and off remotely without having got a need to redeploy the code. Many engineering teams have been doing this, since eternity, and many of them have their own libraries using which they kind of use a kind of an if-then-else statement to achieve this. The commonly, used practice for many of the product companies. So many organizations wants to do this so that they can have a limited release, a canary release, some feature that they're not really sure if all the users would like it, or maybe a paid feature which they want to enable only for certain users. The criteria based upon which these features can be turned on and off are kind of innumerous. A lot of service providers are out there who kind of provide this sort of a library. And if I'm not mistaken, GitLab uses a library called Unleash internally to provide this feature out of the box. There are about 15 SDKs. Um, Irrespective of the programming languages that you work with, you would need a support for these sort of a feature. So there are about 15 SDKs that is supported by GitLab. And there's a documentation. I will leave the link to this documentation so that you can refer to it. Out of the box, GitLab provides you in the free tier about 50 invocations per project. And now, as and when you need this in a bigger, larger enterprise scale, you will have to use all the paid services out here. Based upon the criteria, these feature flags can be enabled based upon if you want to do it for all users, maybe a percentage of users. Now, how to identify which users, do they have any personal attributes and stuff like that? A bunch of granular level of control is provided by this particular feature toggle. I will just pick a very simple exercise just to highlight the on and off feature of this particular um, feature. Let me first go ahead and create a GitLab repository, new project, create a blank project. I will just say YouTube feature demo. I will use this particular user ID, make it public. Let there be a README file. So this is just a placeholder where I will later initialize an npm project. So this is a simple repository that I created. Let me first try to clone this repository onto my local box. All right, let me go here and I will say git clone this particular repository. All right, now let me go to this repository, YouTube feature demo. Sounds good. Okay, git status. Okay, git log. Okay, there should be only one commit. Okay, sounds good. All right, so let me go ahead and initialize. And as I said, I will use a Node.js kind of a project. So let me first do a npm init -y out here in this particular project. All right, so npm got initialized. Right, now let me also install TypeScript. Now this is not mandatory, but I've kind of referred to one of the tutorial where TypeScript and Node.js was installed. So, I will just follow that all along. All right, TypeScript got installed, initialize. All right, so all that I did was a simple repository, which I kind of cloned here. Here I've done Node.js initialization. Now I need to identify a kind of a name for my flag and then use that particular variable in the TypeScript or the Node.js code that I will come up with. Let me go to the repository and add a particular flag. All right, so if I go to build, operate, where is it, deploy, feature flags. All right, so here I would go ahead and define a feature flag. The feature flag will have an ID, and then you will have to reference that in the unleash client that we're going to use. All right, so I will just say new feature flag. I can give any name for the feature flag that I want to. I will give the name as print underscore feature, keeping it very simple. A description not required, not a mandatory stuff. Do you want it to be for all users? I will keep it all users. Environment, in case you have multiple environments defined for your particular project, you can go ahead and create environment specific feature flag. Now I don't have all that, so I will keep it very simple. I will just say go ahead and create this feature flag. So feature flag gets created. The status is on as of now. You can switch it off. This is on and off. Now, in order to use this on the client, we have to install the unleash client and then refer to this particular flag. So for that, let's figure out what would be our API URL and the instant ID. These two are required. So let me just copy these. Okay, so this is the API URL. This is the instance ID. Now these will have to be referred to inside our unleash client, whatever SDK that we're going to install. Out there when we write the code, we have to refer to these two parameters so that every time our client tries to showcase something, depending upon whether the flag is on or off at that point in time, it will take a decision of getting into that part of the code which has got that feature enabled or otherwise. Let me go to the client and first install the unleash client. I already just did that. npm install unleash client --save. So this will kind of download the packages for unleash client from an npm perspective and install it. Now after this is installed, I'll just create a simple index.ts kind of a page or any particular page where I would want to reference the print feature that I just enabled, and then based upon whether it's turned on or off, write some code. I already did that. If I take a look at this, where is it here? Okay, so this is a simple TS file that I'm going to create. Import, the reference is to the feature flag that I've enabled, and also the instance ID is something that I've copied. Both these two are very important because these two will talk to the GitLab server using the Unleash SDK and just find out whether this particular feature is enabled or not. So if you come down here, this is the most important piece of code. If is enabled, our name of our feature is print underscore feature. So if is enabled print underscore feature, then print something. Now the printing is not so important, but it could be a bunch of other piece of code that is all put down here. Just to keep it simple, I'm just printing, this feature is controlled by GitLab kind of a feature. So if this feature flag is enabled, this would get printed out. If not, it will just say this feature is disabled. Now I'll not do a deployment. I will run this locally and show you once the client is running, you can go ahead to the server and keep changing or toggling the feature switch. Okay, based upon whether it is on or off, accordingly, the piece of code will kind of execute as per this if then condition. let me go ahead and save this file. Save as. Now, where is my repository? Under the repos folder, YouTube feature demo. YouTube feature demo. I will save it as index.ts. Okay, sometimes this file name gets little different. It gets modified. Let me just check that. Index.ts. That sounds good. Let me run this piece of code now. npx ts-node index.ts. Okay, now first time it is going to run, it will take some time. And if you see here now, it says, you know what, this feature is controlled, meaning feature is on. If this is enabled, the feature flag is kind of enabled. That is why you see this. Now let me go here and switch off the particular feature. And I did not have to do redeploy. All the code is there. I don't really have to do anything. Maybe the first time when I do this, it may not run correctly. Usually happens sometimes. Let me try that again. All right, now you see feature is disabled. I did not make any changes to the code. Everything that is controlled by unleashed client talking this particular. Let me just enable this again just to double check. All right, enabling, disabling a feature switch with the server having the control is as simple as that in GitLab. Using the built-in GitLab feature toggle or a switch is as simple as that, and I hope you liked the tutorial. I will leave the documentation and the reference to the GitLab feature toggle switch in the description of my video. Kindly try it out, and as usual, if you run into any issues, kindly leave me a message. I will try to address it as soon as I can. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. If you liked my tutorials, kindly consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much.